Welcome to Danielle Scraps. My name is Danielle and I'm glad that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, and that bell so you don't miss another tutorial.
Hi, this is Danielle and I am with you today with Inspiration Collaboration Design Team. And we're going to focus on the new online specials that were released a few days ago. Let's get started. All right, so today I have with you the Umbrella Days cling stamp set, and I purchased the bundle. So this stamp set is awesome. It comes with 7 cling stamps, and I'm going to show them to you here in a second. Look how fun this is. And in these stamps, you will find a collection filled with 2 people, a parent figure, looks like maybe a female with long braid, a child, you'll have raindrops here, 3 sentiments, and a dog. And just designed to set up some really cute cards. But I'm going to do a twist. I'm going to make a scrapbook page using this set today. Now, like I said, it also comes in the bundle where you get the dies that have coordinating cutting elements with it, and you get 15 dies in here, which I thought was really cool. Some of them can cut out the images that you see there, but then some of them are accent pieces like the puddles and the clouds and things like that, and the extra boots or what have you. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do a Peekaboo Window layout today, and I am using the Seasons of Green and Gold paper collection here, and I'm pulling the greens from my picture, and I'm going to do some watercoloring here in a little bit. So you want to start with a 7x7 piece of cardstock, a 6x6 scrap piece of cardstock, 2 12x12 pieces of paper. One is going to be designer series and the other one is going to be your base page. So whatever coordinates with that. I'm using very vanilla in mine. As you can see here, I'm going to use the polka dot side of this, and then I am going to also use a photo mat here, which is 4 by 5 1/4. My photo I've cut down to be 4 by 4, and then I have a journaling that is 4 by 1 3/4. And what that does is when I put that on my cardstock base here, I have a nice little border all the way around. I've gone ahead and stamped on my journaling piece there a title and some raindrops, which I'll show you that again a little bit later. What I want to do here is I want to find the center of my paper to create my Peekaboo Window. And so I'm just going to use my cardstock scrap here to sort of eyeball using the grid, and then my glass mat here. And I want to make sure that I'm 3 from the bottom and 3 from the top kind of deal, so that it's somewhat centered. And it does give me a hard time. I think I'm centered, and I realize when I'm done it was a little crooked, but that's okay. I'm going to use a pencil to come in and trace a square around that 6x6 piece. That's why I don't care if there's a little bit of Cricut cut on there or what have you. And then I just grabbed a little ruler there to help make sure that my alignment was the best as possible, but it kept sliding on that glass mat. I should have just got my Versamats out and used that instead. No worries. And so the reason why I'm doing this little square around here is it's going to give me a guide for creating that Peekaboo window that I'm talking about, which you saw in the preview at the beginning of the video. This is the largest size that I would do in this. If you wanted to do something a little bit smaller, you could. I'm now going to take my pencil and draw a big X right in the center of that square, corner to corner. I know it's going to be a little bit hard for you to see. You can kind of sort of see the outline of the box where I've gone a little harder. And then you want to cut on both of those lines completely out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just find that center point on my paper trimmer here. I'm going to line that right side up and then put my little cutter right there in the center using the ruler guide there. And then I'm going to use my scissors to cut from the center to the corner 4 times. And this is going to give me 4 triangles. And that's what's going to create our little peekaboo effect here. I love this technique. I've done it a couple of times in the past. It's been about 3 or 4 years, and I just really thought that this was going to be a cute design to do on this. Now, when you pull these back on my particular design, it has these starburst yellow gold stars on it, which I thought were really cute. To me, they reminded me of like splatters of raindrops, so it kind of goes with my picture here. So now I'm going to fold it back. Now when I fold this back, I'm not creasing those folds. I want them to sort of pop up a little bit. If you don't care for bulk in your scrapbooks, go ahead and crease those folds. I'm not going to, and then I'm going to go ahead and put some 3D tape down, and this is going to kind of help keep that bulk or that bulge of it to pop up. Now, like I said, if that's not your creative thing, you like this element, but you want it to be flat, that's okay. Go ahead and flatten those down. You may need to adjust some of the crease points so that it doesn't spill over into off the edge of your paper here, so it fits nicely in your page protector. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, and I'm going to add some nice long strips of this 3D foam tape because I want to pop it up so it creates a frame for our window. Excuse my head getting in there. And then it doesn't take a whole lot, but I do want it so that it doesn't fall down over time, so you will see me put this on a few spaces here. I'm really concerned about making sure that that window is more popped up than anything. I'm not so much concerned about the edges as much, but I will go ahead and add in some pieces here and there just to sort of give it some even playing field all the way around. Oops, I forgot that little piece of that window there. And then we'll just put this last one in. Now we need to put in our background for our window. So here's my very vanilla that's going to go on the bottom. I need to put this piece in here. Now I cut this designer series piece at 7 by 7. So you have a couple of options here. You can adhere it directly to the back of the window like you see me do here, or what you can do is draw a 7 by 7 square or find the center of your 12 by 12 base page and glue it directly down there. I wanted to make sure that my element looked as straight as possible because it had dots on it and my window was already somewhat crooked. So this is where you see me kind of gauge that and turn around and go ahead and rethink my plan here. I wanted just to make sure that this was somewhat straight. And it's okay, you know, either way works for you, however you're comfortable. If you use a plain piece, then you don't really so much have to worry about it being straight to the eye. So you can see that I'm just going to put this down here and it gets stuck because I forget that I put adhesive on it. So I just put this as straight as I can on my glass mat here without putting any pressure down. And now I'm going to line it up so that it looks straight when you're looking through it, and then I can press it down on there. And that's how I knew that my window was not completely straight when I was pulling my pieces back. It's okay. Give yourself grace on something like this. Don't fret too much about it. I always tell everybody, like, listen, when my kids are looking through their books in years to come, and hopefully they cherish them as much as I cherish making them, they're not going to be like, oh my gosh, this is crooked. I can't have the scrapbook page. So give yourself some grace. All right, so this is my photo mat, if you will, and that is, again, 4 1/4 inches tall and 5 3/4 long. So I have a nice little border. It's not as noticeable on camera, but in real life there's a nice border on each side. I'm going to adhere my picture down. This is my kiddo in his rain boots. And he looks super cute in there. That's why I picked the greens from this collection here. And now I have all of these pieces that are stamped and cut already. And they're stamped in Memento ink. And so that's a water safe ink for watercoloring. So it's a steadfast. It's not going to run when I go to do my watercoloring. I did cut out an extra umbrella, 2 rain clouds, some extra little boots that can go on the parent here. I end up not using it later on and you'll see that. And then some little kid boots that I do end up putting on here soon. And then that extra umbrella that I did cut little 3D elements out for it so that it would pop later on. So let's get into watercoloring. This is one of my most favorite ways to color, this and alcohol markers. And since I'm relatively new to Stampin' Up, I'm still building up my arsenal of their amazing products. So I want to come in with some watercoloring since I don't have the right alcohol markers that they have to do this technique today, or this coloring today, I should say, with them. So I've gone ahead and I've numbered my palette here so that when I'm creating my colors, I remember which colors that I used instead of just like, oh, I think it was this blue one. So make sure that when you're going through this video, you scroll down and you click the links to the other ladies in the Inspiration Collaboration Design team here, as you are going to get an array of products that have just released in the last few days, of examples and ideas of how to use them. Okay, so I'm going to color the boots here, and I'm trying to create a color that is very similar to the boots that are in my son's, that my son is wearing in the picture here. Again, that's my favorite medium, is to color like this. When you're coloring with watercolors and you're not coloring on watercolor paper, obviously the very vanilla is not that, you want to make sure that your brush is saturated just enough to collect the medium from your tray, but not so much that you're sopping your project wet, because this will pill up if it gets too wet, and that's not something that you really want to go for. You can shade it just like you do alcohol markers. I tend to wait for it to dry a little bit before I do that. For video purposes, I do not allow for that time frame here, but I do give it a little bit of shading the best as that I can. So this will, again, if you put a lot of water on it, that your paper will kind of curl up. And so be expecting of that. The less water that you use, the little bit better. So you do want to just, dry your brush off if you're using a water brush or what have you, so that you're just adding basically the color on here. For the boy, I'm going to try and mimic what my son is wearing, like all together. So I'm going to give him a nice green jacket. It does end up being just a little bit more towards like the green that's in the picture of the grass than it is the jacket that he's wearing, but I think all in all it still looks pretty cute. Now the base page, or my DSP paper, actually has all these like little hollies on them, but I thought they looked like hearts to me, and that's part of the reason why I chose those things, or that DSP here. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give him a little bit of shadowing on his jacket. And I did that with mixing a little bit of that gray watercolor and just sort of putting it in, so wherever those crease marks would be on his jacket in that stamped images, I added that little bit of gray to give it that shadow effect here. I'm going to go ahead and use up that gray and color my clouds. Now the unique thing about these clouds is that they have an element where they pop up. So it cuts little divots, I guess, if you will, not really divots. It cuts like a little outline of your cloud out. So it kind of gives that this 3D appearance. And so when I'm going through here, I'm sort of pushing, you see me push it up with my fingernail, and I push that up and I'm able to get my brush in there and sort of distress it. See here, you can see me pushing that up. Be careful when you're doing it because you're using watercolor, and again, that makes that paper very vulnerable, so it's not as sturdy, it doesn't manipulate, or doesn't hold up to your manipulation very well because it can tear. So just be mindful of that if you happen to do this process without watercolor paper. Now I'm going to go ahead and color in the adult here. I'm just going to go ahead and mimic some of the colors on the child to the adult. And I'm giving blue boots and a blue umbrella and a red coat and gray pants. So I do differentiate by giving a red coat here and some brown hair. And so you see here he has those gray pants on, so that's where I'm getting that gray to pull from, which it works out nice. The colors all sort of play together. I know that red pops up really well, but I was thinking that as I'm doing the red on her raincoat, red and green always seem to marry well with each other, complement each other, if you will. Also, if you are having some sort of issue in coming up with complementary colors, Stampin' Up! In this new release has come out with a color wheel. I highly recommend it if color theory is something that you struggle with when you're putting together some of your projects, whether it's scrapbooking or junk journaling or cards or what have you, so that this is really a nice tool to have in your arsenal. So I'm just going to wrap up here with these little blue shoes, or blue boots. And what I do is I do come in and I add a little bit of detail with a black here. to those boots, and I'll do a little pop-up here. What I would tell you is if you're coloring and you go out of the lines, I would tell you to grab your white gel pen, your white gel pen, and just color up outside of the line wherever your watercolor went to. However, I didn't do that in this time because I'm using that very vanilla, and that white is very drastic, so it brought more attention when some of my ink came outside of the lines than it would if I just left it alone. So I didn't mess with any of the coloring that went outside of the lines there. So here that dried a little bit, so I'm just giving it a little bit of extra detail there. Again, I love watercoloring. You can do this with some watercolor pencils if you want. There are some great opportunities for using this method with that. You would just apply that and add some water. Okay, let's go ahead and decorate. My whole premise behind this is my title says, "You are the umbrella to my rainy days." And so this extra umbrella that I cut out, I really wanted that to kind of go over that title and just sort of be a little symbolic to that title or that message that was in there. And again, this is meant for a card, so I thought it was perfect with this picture because, you know, he's so happy-go-lucky in this picture, and I'm like, oh, he always brings such good sunshine to my rainy days. So that was my whole idea behind that. So I'm just going to add a little bit of some 3D foam tape up here to kind of pop that up so that it sits flush, if you will, between where I have created those folds for our window and the guts that are inside of that window there. The inside. And so I put it off onto the side there, and then I need to add in my little umbrella stick. It does cover up a little bit of my journaling, but I was kind of okay with that. I end up pulling that off and then adding my umbrella directly all the way behind it, and it works out just fine. So then I wanted to add in the lower left-hand corner the people that I created, and I'm trying to generate somewhat of a triangle visual point here. So I have my top umbrella at the top right, and then now I have the people at the bottom left. So I put the parents on the outside, and I put the child inside the window there. And again, just adding those 3D foam to pop her up so that she doesn't sink in later on. I'm going to add in the clouds. I start here, but I really don't want the clouds over his head because he doesn't generate that rainy clouds, right? He takes it away. So I do move them over closer to my umbrella. Sorry, my head's really in the way there. Hopefully it gets out here in a sec. There we go. And I add them there. So that will create a very tight triangle when we're looking at this visually, but it does work. I'm going to go in and bring in some dots here and finish off the inside of that. And before I do that, these were some scraps that I had from cutting out my journaling piece and things like that. So I thought it would be really cute just to sort of frame that in and give a little bit, excuse me, my goodness, my head is just right in there. It just frames out that whole area there. Part of the reason for you get to see my head is because I forgot I was zoomed in so much. So I just miter the corners there, and I just do that by following the end of the triangle or the angle of the triangle piece there, and on the ends that are going to be covered up, I just sort of cut those flat and then put it down. I really think that, especially looking at it afterwards and not in the video itself, it really is stunning. I really hope you try this. So that is just a 1/4 by 12-inch piece of scrap there that I'm applying, and this is totally optional. You don't need to do this if you don't want to. For your designer series paper, I recommend something busy that will really help draw in the attention to the center of your photo here. I think anything plain, and you're really going to have to ham it up with some extra sentiments and things of that nature. So we'll just add those dots in, those enamel dots or ombre that I think they are matte, they're matte, sorry. I'm just going to add a few of those in, and then I think this layout is going to be called good. I like simplistic layouts that really focus on the photo with a few details to enhance the story that's going on there. Later on, I will go ahead and add my journaling. I always do that off. So I'll do that off camera here. But those dots are really, really cute, and it's just a subtle hint of finishing off that paper there, or that layout. Isn't that cute? Well, I really hope that you enjoyed this quick tutorial, this peek out window. Again, I used the Umbrella Days stamp set and bundle, and there's the finished layout with a little close-up of some of my journaling here and the little images that I colored. So don't forget to check out the rest of the design team and all their creative projects that they've done. Until next time.